So let's get into this real quick. What you need to know is basically this. There is a movement that is catching a lot of aggressive pace, and it's something that's becoming relatively popular among people who are online, especially younger people who are currently in the working class of the 20s, 30s, 40s, and early 50s. And also, to be very fair, it has also become very, very popular with the Republican Party as an idea. So we just need to be aware of what this thing is so you understand how it applies going forward. Real quick, let's get into exactly what this is and how it affects Social Security retirement benefits. Here we go.
Somewhere between 10 and 30% of people who get Social Security right now should not receive it because they don't need it. The wealthiest generation in the history of this planet are senior citizens, and the fact that every year we affect a $1.2 trillion transfer from young people who are not doing as well as they have in past generations to the wealthiest generation in history means something is wrong. If I have someone working for me, an analyst at Project Media making $160,000 a year, they pay $9,000 of Social Security tax a year, 6%. But they cap the tax at $160,000. So if I make $10 million, I pay, wait for it, $9,000. It's a program that should keep seniors out of poverty. It shouldn't continue to be a wealth transfer from the young to the old, who are already, as an aggregate, the wealthiest generation in history. We need serious reform. We need to dramatically cut the costs. It's been way too politically dangerous to get near. Old people have figured out a way to vote themselves more and more money. It needs to stop. A third of senior citizens should not be getting Social Security. Somewhere between 10 and 30% of people.
Okay, so what do we learn from this? The process that's being pushed right now is that people who have money in the bank, who are retired, should not, that's what he's claiming, I disagree, receive retirement benefits. Here's the problem I have with that. First of all, they already paid for it. They already paid for it. It's already done. They paid for it. Number two, right? When you don't have an income and you only have money in the bank and your investments are not making lots of money for you, right? Because a lot of old people are in that situation. They have money in the bank. They don't know what to do with it. They're afraid to invest it, etc. Then you de facto are going to use up your money in your golden years as a retired person to be able to survive. Because if you do not have a retirement check, a VA check, a this check, a that check, you eat up what you have in reserve. The whole point of retirement is to go and have fun. The whole point of retirement is to have a good life in the long-term sense after you've worked your butt off to the point where you are now medically having issues and just trying to figure out how you can actually go on that cruise. My point with this is that this idea is becoming very popular with some Republicans and, which I didn't expect, some Democrats. Democrats really like it because Democrats like to, shove it to the rich, but at the same time, they're with their hands out, constantly saying, give us more money. Okay. Whenever they throw a convention, Democrats and Republicans, both alike, will have some billionaire sponsor there giving a speech. Okay. The point that I need you to understand with this particular situation is that this type of logic is very dangerous because that is when they take Social Security benefits and they turn it into a welfare program for essentially the poor. And that's not what Social Security benefits are. They never were that. They were never meant to be that. SSI is that, which is a part of Social Security, but it's a small part. It's supplemental security income. But SSDI benefits, retirement benefits, they were never meant to be that. They are a form of insurance. They are not a form of insurance for whether or not you are already poor. They are a form of insurance in case something happens. You get old. You become disabled. You become a widow. You become, this, that, whatever. They are a form of insurance that you pay for throughout your entire life. So when he says, I want to reform and give retired people less money or no money that are at a certain financial level, I disagree. And here's why I disagree. And I want this to be heard. And I hope you understand this. And I hope you think about this a lot. Before I go into the point, though, super thank you to Princess Diana. She is one of the longest members that we've had with us. She's an individual who's been with us for a very, very long time. She said, morning, sorry I missed the first video. Hate missing a video. No worries at all. But a super thank you to Diana for the $5 donation. With that said, Okay. And this is important. If Social Security benefits do not pay out a check to people who have, $100,000 in the bank, $250,000 in the bank, $500,000 in the bank, $1 million in the bank, $2 million in the bank, a house worth over $1 million, a house worth over $500,000, a house worth over $2 million, whatever. You instantly turn an entire group of the nation that pays for things to happen. Because remember, they're still going to tax those people. They're still going to tax them their FICA taxes. They're just going to take away their financial benefit of it. Think about that. It's not 12.4%. That's just old age, SSDI, stuff like that. You have to put Medicare on top of that. You're 16, 17% of every check going to that. So my point to you is, what will happen to Social Security benefits when the upper middle class, when they go to retire, when the government says to them, hey, you know what? We've decided to no longer give you retirement benefits, even though we taxed you your entire life. And then future generations, we're going to tax you, but we're not going to give you a check every month thereafter. Well, you would have essentially the forming of a new nation by those people who have the money and anger to change it. So this idea is unbelievably terrible. One of the worst ideas that could be out there. And yet it has popularity with some Democrats, and yet it has popularity with some Republicans. I'm going to play it for you one more time so you understand exactly what's going on, and then we will go from there. Again, he says 10 to 30% of people who get Social Security benefits, he believes, should not get them because they already have money. Let's go to this real quick again.
Security right now should not receive it because they don't need it. The wealthiest generation in the history of this planet are senior citizens, and the fact that every year we affect a $1.2 trillion transfer from young people who are not doing as well as they have in past generations to the wealthiest generation in history means something is wrong. If I have someone working for me, an analyst at Project Media making $160,000 a year, they pay $9,000 of Social Security tax a year, 6%. But they cap the tax at $160,000. So if I make $10 million, I pay, wait for it, $9,000. It's a program that should keep seniors out of poverty. It shouldn't continue to be a wealth transfer from the young to the old, who are already, as an aggregate, the wealthiest generation in history. We need serious reform. We need to dramatically cut the costs. It's been way too politically dangerous to get near. Old people have figured out a way to vote themselves more and more money. It needs to stop. A third of senior citizens should not be getting Social Security. Somewhere between.
Okay, but they already paid for it. Our country is already a sinking ship when it comes to how progressive it is when trying to take care of people. Our taxes, they tax the middle class horrifically, the middle upper class horrifically, to the benefit of the super rich and the super poor. Our Social Security benefits, they tax the middle class, the middle upper class horrifically, to the benefit of the super rich and the super poor. And you want to basically take away from the middle upper class their Social Security retirement benefits? Just help me structurally understand the idea of removing a monthly check that they already paid for, and then future generations continuing to pay FICA taxes that go to pay for more of the poor. Sell me that, because I don't see a plan that works for sales to tell somebody that they've got to work, right? Let's just call it like it is, a couple, months of every year just to pay for other poor people. I mean, they're already doing that, but now we're just doing it solely for the poor people's benefit. Explain to me how you're going to sell to the working class that idea, because it ain't going to work. The working class is the poorest it's ever been. This country has devolved to being unable to be the ultimate first world country. Other countries are competing and surpassing and doing all these things. We have a problem. The problem is we did not stay on top of the government's ROI assessments. We let them take the money and spend it how they wanted. And some of the politicians came back and said, well, nowhere in the Constitution does it say, or we have to tell you what we're spending your money on. Same thing goes for Social Security benefits. How many of you know, and just show of hands, clicks, whatever, how many of you know what special interest bonds, how they take your money and then convert them into a special interest bond. How many of you know what that money is being spent on? When the government converts your payments into bonds that they spend. How many of you know what they've spent it on? How much of that money went overseas? How much of that money went to building your community, making it a safer place to live? How much? How much? And then they turn around and tell you, guess what? We're only going to give you this low amount of return on investment from these special interest bonds, where they pay it back into the system. So here's the kicker. They get you twice. They control what percentage they give you back on those special interest bonds. And then they have to borrow and print the money just to pay it back. It's just a disgusting, disgusting thing that the politicians ravaged. And you know why? You know why they did this? It's because the people who had the money to pay for politicians, they got that money, a lot of them, by buying up companies, splitting up their assets, and selling those assets as different things for an increased profitability. Masters of return on investment. But you are not their main concern. You're not. Their main concern are getting utility resources, oil, gas, electric, etc., so that they can run their companies to control more. That's it. That's how it works. So, do I like this idea? I think this idea is terrible. It is popular with some Democrats. It is popular with some Republicans. It is terrible. All right. With that said, I've got to go ahead and work on some stuff. I will catch you all a little bit later. Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution PA. If you want to hire a disability attorney, you don't necessarily have to call me. Call a bunch of them. Call 5 of them. But the bottom line is this. Ask them the first question. If I choose you as an attorney, how much of a referral fee do I need to pay? Because for you to get to them, you probably clicked on some web address or some Facebook short or some this or that. Ask that attorney how much they're losing to represent you. Because if they got 20%, 25% taken from them up front, they're not going to have enough money to really work on your claim properly. Also, please remember to like and subscribe. There's only 92 likes. Let's get that like way up on this live video. With this said, also, please remember, I go live on Mondays and Thursdays usually to go ahead and answer questions for free. I go ahead and work at Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. Go ahead and Google it, Disability Resolution. Throw some stars up there if you like this information, if you like the news. I will catch you all a little bit later. And please remember, if you have a really tough question, really like, this is what's happening to me, this isn't fair, there's a 1-hour private session below. You can always hire me for a 1-hour private session, but they do get snookered up basically over a 1.5 to 2.5 period. So just, you have to let me know if it's an emergency, like you have a hearing coming up, so I know to put you in a special spot. I will catch you all a little bit later. We will rock and roll from there. Attorney Walter Hnot, thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.